when I open up Instagram, it's all the stories of like people's boyfriends like putting elaborate decorations in their room, like, will you be my Valentine? And I'm like, ew, disgusting. I mean, if it happened to me, I would post it and I would do the same thing. But like right now, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to see it. I cannot see it. I don't like it. Maybe one day. But right now, I'm a big Valentine's Day hater.
Oh, I should have brought you in. I wasn't even thinking I should have brought you in one of my cute little cards that are just like, from the dollar store, but not even an individual card. They come in a big box and all that, but no one's ever sent you like roses or anything?
Never.
No. Well, you're so young. You know what? I'm sorry. At my age, which we don't discuss, in my entire life, I've probably only received a Valentine maybe 5 times in my life. I don't know. To me, it's like, it doesn't matter because I'm my own Valentine. I don't know.
Oh, cute.
Ooh, come on in.
Let's get down and dirty.
The totally unfiltered, honest.
Up to my brain.
I love your brain.
Stall talk.
Stall talk.
Y'all ready?
Yeah, I don't do it either. I celebrate with the animals.
I do it with my friends.
And well, are you going to do something with your friends?
Yeah, actually.
What are you doing?
I'm going over to my friends Maddie and Annalise's house, and they sent out a group chat. All the girls, they're like, literally a group chat with like all the single girls. And they're like, so who's coming over on Valentine's Day? And what we're going to do is we're doing like a burn book. We're considering our options. We're either doing a burn book or we're like putting things like on the TV screen of like our exes, like on a projector, and then like going over and like talking about it for like funsies because we're all fucking Valentine's Day haters. But we make it fun together. We get each other flowers and we make cupcakes and we make it all cutesy.
That's hysterical. That's fabulous. What is a burn book?
Oh my gosh, have you ever seen Mean Girls?
No.
You've never, none of them?
No.
Okay, so in the movie Mean Girls, there's this book where they like write things about people that aren't very nice. So we're like, oh my gosh, what if we just make a burn book and like fill it with our exes or something in it?
But do you then burn it after you? It's called a burn book. Then do you burn it afterwards, or?
Nah, that should be a memory. I don't want to burn it.
So it's a memory. So, well, but I think that sounds like a really fun Valentine's.
I'm really excited. My friends make it special. It's better than, because if I'm not with my friends, then I'm alone. So I'm like, at least we have our friends to be alone together.
Sweet. You have the best group of girlfriends.
Thank you.
You guys have such a wonderful support group. Mm-hmm. And see, you take something bad and you turn it into positive.
It's really sweet. I'm so grateful to have them. Like, I couldn't stress that anymore, how grateful I am to have my friends.
Aw. Mm-hmm. See? That's awesome. I don't know. But, well, you're my Valentine.
Oh,
so
thanks, love.
Yeah. And stay tuned because we have a wonderful show today.
I'm so excited. We are here today with Livi Redden. She is a speaker, author, thought leader for Gen Z. Also, she's been featured on TEDx for What No One Tells You in Your 20s. So obviously, she is making waves for our generation, and I'm just so excited to have you here and to sit down and just get nitty and gritty.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit more about why you felt this drive to speak to 20-somethings. Like, where did this start from? Like, what was the catalyst for you?
Yeah, I think the catalyst was definitely, which is something I talk about in my TED Talk, where at a young age I grew up with a terminally ill parent. And I think I went seeking answers, and there weren't really a lot that were targeted directly to me, whether a teenager or just young people. I mean, the last self-help book we had written for young people before mine had been like a decade prior, and it was like, what are we doing? So that was sort of the start, kind of seeking answers as a teenager, just after having a lot of conversations starting at like 10, 11 about like life and death. And then getting into this space, I was like, so many of us are so lonely in what we're experiencing. And I think if I can let people see behind some of my smoke and mirrors, I hope that they can allow themselves to see behind each other's. And like, that's sort of what it's all about. And I think hearing from one person can make such a difference in the way you go about every day. So
I love that. And I think like through some of the hardest, shittiest times of life is like when we start to realize our purpose, and the fact that you're able to speak to other 20-somethings to be that voice is so refreshing and healing. And I try to do the same thing through my platform. So like it's so refreshing to meet other women who are also on that same line of work.
Yeah, I love that. It's amazing.
So talk to me a little bit more about your book. I saw it on Instagram, The Sooner You Know, The Better. Mm-hmm. And for me, I've been saying that for years when it comes to dating. So like when I saw that, I was like, my girl. Like,
no way.
Yes.
That's so funny. Okay. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit more about why you wrote the book and what that means to you.
Funny thing is the title that publishers didn't like was How to Turn Out Less Screwed Up Than Your Parents. So that was going to be the initial name. We took that off the whiteboard. But yeah, the sooner you know, the better. I think there's the whole sort of mission with that book in particular was there's so many very simple, nervous system regulation skills, emotional skills, communication skills that we can learn. That the sooner we can learn those, the better in a lot of ways. And it's just the simplest things, the simplest tweaks that we just really haven't prioritized as a society in general. And really, like, us not learning those core skills is a core of so much hate and violence, really. And it's like the simplest tweaks that if you can learn at an early age, especially while your mind is still extremely malleable, it's life-changing.
Amazing. Do you mind sharing a couple of those tools or tweaks that you briefly mentioned?
Yeah. Somatic techniques that are helping you regulate your nervous system, whether that's, that could look different for everyone. That could be meditation, that could be breath work, that could be ecstatic dance, whatever that looks like for you. And then communication skills, just the way we go about using our words, staying away from your definitives like always or never. And the way we go about having difficult conversations and when we can structure those conversations better. It can also just be diving a little bit more into a self-discovery process, because I think when we talk about healing, we think it's often fixing oneself, but really it's like it's an experiment, and you're exploring yourself and everything that you are capable of once you can remove some of that crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, it is super interesting. I think that when we look at healing and grief in general, it's like you never reach this state where you're like, I'm fully healed, like I'm over it. I mean, you might be over it, but it's okay to not be okay. And I think especially with the world that we're living in as 20-somethings, we're so used to getting everything at like our fingertips. So when it comes to heartbreak or grief or wanting something and it's not happening for you or manifesting for you like tomorrow, we get super paralyzed by that. Yeah. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about like maybe a personal experience for you where you've realized the sooner I know, the better, and has helped you maybe grow a little bit quicker?
Yeah. Let me think. I try to not just give first answer that comes to my head. I want to think.
I like that.
As far as a personal experience, I think something that comes to mind for me is that because our house was very sort of chronically anxious as a child, even really before my dad got sick, we had our things. And I was just like very anxious, and I remember writing, I found this journal entry from when I was in middle school, and I didn't know what anxiety was, and I wrote this journal entry and I was like, I feel guilty all the time, and I thought I was like a bad person or something. And because I was experiencing anxiety, and the only thing I could like pair that to was when I feel guilty or I've done something that I wish I had not done. And then when I was around 16, I went to this like girls event thing, and they brought a meditation teacher in. And I remember sitting in the back, and this woman walked us through a meditation, and I just started crying. I was like, I've never felt this type of peace ever. And from there, I mean, meditation kind of changed my life into that sort of healing direction and uncovering direction. And so that would be sort of an earlier example.
It's beautiful, like getting still, because I think we're constantly going all the time. And that recently happened to me like 2 days ago. I was taking this yoga class with my mom, and I'm so used to just going as a very independent, driven young woman. And I don't allow myself the grace or the time to just be like, Sky, you're allowed to do nothing. Or if you are going to move your body, you're allowed to take it slow instead of feeling like you have to do strength or have to sweat. Like, you can calm the fuck down. And my mom and I did like a very slow yoga class together. And at the end, I just started bawling. Like, this was 2 days ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I had to allow myself to process and to release and pause. So I feel you on that one deeply, girlfriend.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had that experience. Was it yin yoga?
Honestly, it was just like flow, but I think it was a very slow version of flow.
Yeah, beautiful.
It was really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that Valentine's Day is happening.
Yes.
How are we feeling about it? And I feel like we're very similar in this way because we're both extremely independent, tall, driven young 20-somethings.
Yes.
Where's your heart? Like, how are you feeling about V-Day this year?
Yeah, I am in a much more open place than I've ever been. And I think in regards to like romantic love, I think for a long time and I think a lot of women feel this way. They have experiences over and over again that slowly close them off. Honestly, like, kudos to my therapist, actually, because I actually just wrapped up working with this really incredible psychologist that I was working with for about 8 months, and honestly, just like life-changing, and especially in the realm of love and romantic love, he changed everything for me.
Stunning.
Yeah.
What has your experience been like maybe before this pivot for you? I mean, I can only imagine, like, just even based off my experiences, how difficult it can be to date and to put yourself out there as a successful 20-something.
Yeah.
Like, what is your experience as a hyper-independent, driven young woman dating in your romantic relationships?
Well, I've unlearned the hyper-independent piece. That's been part of it. But it's interesting, and it definitely is very depending on the city.
Yep.
For sure. Because I've lived in a few different cities. But overall, I feel like, and this is something I've talked about a little bit on social media, but honestly, my dating experience has been pretty good compared to some of my friends. Reason being is I actually feel like as a tall or like bigger woman, it's for a lot of girls, they struggle to sort of like reconcile with that. And they're like, boys don't like that. Boys want you to be petite. And I actually feel so grateful for it in a lot of ways, because I think there's a little bit of a natural filtering that occurs, because you're not going to be with a 6 foot tall woman if you're not secure, especially if you're shorter than me. And I feel like it's honestly improved my dating experience in a lot of ways compared to some of my girlfriends, because like just simply from the get, being very tall and just like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. For real.
It's cool because I think it ties directly to the sooner you know, the better. Because I've always said that phrase in my dating life, where it's like, the sooner that I'm authentic about who I am and my dreams and aspirations when I'm building, the sooner I know how you're going to react to it, and the sooner I know whether or not we're a match.
Yeah.
Versus maybe some of your girlfriends who are maybe the more, by societal standards, petite or smaller, so their dating pool is like more vast.
Yeah.
But I think for women like us, it's like, okay, if I'm being so authentic with who I am, whether it's by having a podcast and a platform or being taller and it being so obvious to the eye, it actually, I think it does us a favor.
Yeah. As long as you can, like, I mean, because there's, as a people can be interesting and maybe a little rude, but if you can, like, if you're thick-skinned in regards to that, it's like, it can be like, that's not about me, that's about them.
I love that. Okay, talk to me a little bit more about hyper independence. When did you realize that maybe there was a difference between hyper independence and independence?
Yeah, that's a good question. Here's like a little analogy, I guess. Last night I was watching Sex and the City. I love Sex and the City.
The best.
And we talk a lot about our Charlottes and our Carries, but we don't talk a lot about our Mirandas and our Samanthas. As I was watching it last night. I hadn't watched it in a while, and I was just thinking about how I really started to notice my hyper independence once I got out onto my own, how unwilling I was to accept help from anybody. And it that saved me in a lot of ways when I was younger, because like I needed that to sort of just survive and persevere. So it's not all a bad thing.
No.
But at the same time, I found myself, there's like an episode where Samantha gets sick and she needs someone to come help her when she's sick. And she's like, I have not really built a community around me, one that's like going to help me when I'm sick. And also I'm uncomfortable to ask for it. And so I think just as I've gone throughout my day to day, I had begun to notice like there's something missing, and I'm not loving the way I would like to. I'm not allowing people to love me the way that I would like them to as well.
It's almost like I think you were able to realize a lot of this is in my control. Like I can be more open and approachable and receive that. So that's super cool that you just took responsibility, because I think a lot of women I hear around me just being like, oh, they're threatened or intimidated or I'm too much for them. And I think that at the end of the day, we all have responsibility over how we are navigating and operating in the world. And I think we can absolutely be driven, successful women, but also we can take the freaking backseat and be like, babe, take me out. I'm going to just like show up. Like we're allowed to do that, and we're allowed to receive love, and we're allowed to not be okay.
Yeah. And I know it can be hard to hear, but really, specifically if I just look at my dating life got so much better when I really took radical responsibility, and I was like, my dating life hasn't been what I wanted to be for years. I'm the common denominator, babe.
Yep.
And I was still like a decently healed, like regulated person. And at the same time, there were things in that specific arena I had just not totally confronted. And I am a big believer that if for years, if your dating life has gone on in a way that you have not it's probably self-reflection time. Unfortunately.
So refreshing.
And I'm not saying that some of the people you've gone out with weren't crusty dusty either. I'm just saying, do that for you. Like, what a better act of self-respect and self-love to be like, I deserve the love that I desire, and I'm gonna shift some things to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. It's super refreshing for our age. I mean, this is something that like I've been taught through like having a mom as a therapist, that like obviously if something is not working in your life, look inwards. Yeah. Like you directly manifest how you show up, and the thoughts that you tell yourself on repeat every single day directly affect your reality. So if you're not calling in the right guy, look inward.
Yeah.
And of course, not saying that like once you change, you're going to start manifesting,
Yeah.
It doesn't work that quickly gradual. Sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, super, super brilliant. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
So question for you. If you were able to like sit down right now with like 3 other women who were like, Livy, I'm having a really hard time dating and I'm really dreading Valentine's Day. Like, what is one takeaway that you would want to leave with them?
Well, first, I would really just ask, why is that? I mean, I think if we ask ourselves, and I know that's a little bit of a cliche, but if we ask ourselves why enough, we can get to the root of where we're where we're finding resistance. And I think at the same time, every area of our life has ups and downs. And so at the same time, if you're not excited for Valentine's Day, that's okay. At the same time, giving space for those things. And I think one of the best ways to process what we're feeling emotionally, we tend to be like, this is unreasonable, I shouldn't feel this way, at least for me. And I think one of the best things you can do is feel so sad and so sorry for yourself and so not excited for Valentine's Day, and sit in that and process it and cry and be angry and do what you need to do and feel that. And then that is how you move forward in the actual feeling and not just the analyzing. Yeah.
And you're like a very strong and true testament to that. I mean, even looking at your background and the grief that you've experienced, like the reason why you're sitting here today and you're this strong woman is because you sat through the shit. So if anyone can do it, yeah, that's super cool.
Thank you.
And what is one thing that maybe you've learned about yourself through dating, failed situationships, relationships in general?
It makes me a little emotional. I think it was really interesting because as a teenager, I've reflected, and I actually identified as a not very loving person. And I think it's so interesting because I did love the people around me so deeply, and I was like so ready to help the people around me, but for some reason I would try really hard to keep this like hard exterior. Yeah, like wanted to be spiky on the outside, soft on the inside.
Yeah.
And I think dating has specifically taught me that I am in fact a loving person, and that is not a weakness. And I know that we know that, but I think there are some people that are probably listening where love has become something very vulnerable for them. And I feel like particularly as women, that tends to just statistically not be as common with women, but those women still exist. It's taught me a lot about that I am in fact a very loving person, and that's okay. And yeah, it seems like a very basic thing, but I love love, and I love being corny, and I love all that. And it's fun.
It's so much fun. It's a superpower. Like, you're allowed to lean into that, and that's strength. I think sensitivity is strength,
exactly.
And our world needs it more than ever.
Yeah. I think it's very easy to be pessimistic.
So it's the easiest thing.
And we label a lot of nobleness on top of being pessimistic and
unapproachable.
Yeah, really nihilistic about people. And I think what a more impressive and beautiful thing than to hold on to your hope. There's really nothing more impressive to me than that.
You're freaking amazing.
Thank
you. This is really timely for me, and I'm not to make it about me, but I have to share this with you. Because even thinking about my recent breakup with a guy that I was dating for 3 years, almost 3 years, I've been having this itch to just say my final word and see him one more time. And I'm hearing so many voices around me being like, Sky, don't do it. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve your love. Like, you're too nice. You're too loving. You're too forgiving. You're too this, too that, too much. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What if I just want to go do that for myself?
1,000%.
And if anything, I am a loving person. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I will stand by that to the day that I die.
Yeah.
And that's actually not a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to be evil, if they're going to be mean, if they're going to be unapproachable, if they're not going to be loving, let them.
Yeah.
I'm going to do me.
100%. Like, if there's something that you want to say for you, do that for you. Like, that's not, I 100% agree.
But thank you. I needed to hear that today.
Yeah.
Livy, you're incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you for being you. I feel like this was like the medicine that I needed on V-Day being single. And I'm just so blessed that I got to meet you today. Seriously,
Yeah.
you're freaking amazing.
You too. Thank you so much.
I loved that interview.
That was great. She was really cool.
Isn't she awesome?
Oh my gosh, what an old soul.
I know. When she told me her age, I was like, girlfriend, you are so wise beyond your years. Like, she's just epic.
She gives TED Talks and everything. I mean, and yet her background, she had it tough. You would think, I didn't sense though that she had any animosity about that, her upbringing.
No, and I think it's because she's been able to really pivot and do the work, which I think she spoke about, is that like she just didn't pretend like nothing ever happened. She actually sat with it and worked through it and healed it, and now she's making a difference from it. So I think that just goes to show like how important it is to actually do the work when shit hits the fan.
Which happens, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because what I really heard her say too is like she even just got done with working with a therapist for the last 8 months because she's had different, I would assume, different therapists or whatever she's gone to, and even sharing, because we're in the bathroom stall right now,
Absolutely,
right? Sharing.
yeah.
My sister even said to me 2 days ago, Jenny, I think you maybe need to go to a therapist. And she was there because my sister also said to me, she goes, you're so hard on yourself, and therefore I'm also hard on others. So when I was listening to you guys talking, I was like going,
I go to a therapist.
You do go to one?
Yeah, twice a month.
Twice a
About
month.
every 2 weeks, yeah.
I think everyone
great.
should go to a therapist.
I agree.
I think it's like, if it's not about like having a problem, I think also therapists are there to increase the happiness in our life. And how do we make more of that? I don't think you necessarily have to be like mentally ill to see a therapist.
I agree 100%.
Because now, have you, you're smiling because I think your mom's a therapist. So because your mom's a therapist, have you ever gone to another therapist?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's still my mom. I love her to death.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Probably a different experience.
Totally.
It's nice having like a neutral party, someone that isn't in your day-to-day life to talk to.
See, that's what
Snaps.
that's what Stall Talk's all about, is taking away takeaways, right?
Yep, 100%.
Ooh, and then also that other big one is being independent, but not
Hyper independent.
you know what? So explain what that means.
Yeah, I deeply resonate with this one. I think there's a difference between being, I always have to do this alone. I'm not going to listen to anyone's feedback. I don't need anyone. I can do it myself. I'm fine. It's fine.
And that is what?
I think that's more leaning on the hyper independent side versus being independent. I think you can still all be those things and be driven and be good being alone, taking yourself out on solo dates, being single, having a really fulfilled life, but also being like, I'm going to take the back seat. It's okay to not be okay. I need a support and a community just as everyone else does. So I think there is a difference between being hyper independent versus independent and in a relationship, and also understanding the importance of leaning on your community.
Those are all really big ones for me.
Yeah.
Because when she was even talking, I thought, like, even myself, I'm really independent.
Yeah.
So, and I think it also came from, when you're growing up and everything else, that I get very nervous if the outside world is not stable. So if I can't rely on the stability of the outside world, I have to be really stable within myself. And so I get scared about letting somebody else in because then it could make my security unstable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
But I shouldn't be doing that.
Well, we can't control anything outside of us. That's impossible, right? Which is beautiful because it seems like you understand the importance of like knowing that you can control what's happening internally, and you can control the way that you show up in the world and the way that you react to things, because everything outside of us is not in our control. That's just how life works. So there is power in that, but I also think we're here to love, we're here to experience, we're here to fail, we're here to mess up. And if we aren't allowing someone to walk into our space or our life, how can we really experience all of that love?
And I think I'm very guilty of that, and especially with Valentine's Day, right? Getting back to even a whole Valentine's Day thing is like, Cass, do you need a Valentine in your life on Valentine's Day every year, or is that important for you or to you, or?
Well, like I said in the beginning, I fucking hate Valentine's Day. I think it's a day that everybody rubs it in on your face that you're like super single. Every time I open up Instagram right now, every story is like roses and candles and will you be my Valentine? And I'm like, oh my fucking gosh. I'm like, I'm so happy for you, but like, I don't want to see it. And I'm like, that's okay. Like, it's not their fault. Of course, if that was happening to me, I would have posted it too. But that's why between February 1st and February 14th, I do not watch people's stories, especially if they're in a relationship. I'm just like, I don't want to see it. After that, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for you.
I actually love that, like, you protect your space like that. And I need to be better at that because I agree. Like, even in a relationship, I never really liked it. I feel like it's a Hallmark holiday. Like, I think every day you should love the people around you. But also, like, I think I've realized recently, like, Valentine's is for me to love up on my friends, to love up on my community. Yes, to take a break from social media or to like just not look at stories, because I feel like everyone feels the pressure, even in a relationship, to be like, hi, this is what we're doing on Valentine's Day. Like, I don't think anyone is actually that into it if it makes us feel any better. It's interesting. like it's just a stupid, honestly.
I think it's really interesting that you said that even while you were in a relationship, you don't like Valentine's Day. Was just talking to one of my close friends, and she's in a relationship, and it always is during Valentine's Day. And she was like, I don't even like Valentine's Day. And I was like, what? You don't even like Valentine's Day? And she's like, yeah. She's like, it's right after the holidays. And she's like, there's all this pressure to like buy like extravagant gifts and like do all these things. And she's like, I'm broke right now. She's like, every year Valentine's Day comes, I have no money because it's like right after all the holidays. So she's like, I do not like it. It's just pressure.
And wait, so, but that's a girl. And so do girls feel pressured that they have to buy Valentines or
I don't know. I've never had one, so you're asking the wrong person.
I think it adds pressure on like the dynamic of the relationship. Because for me, like, I've experienced this. I totally get your friend, by the way. It just like, I don't know, even if it's like buying like some sort of small gift or like the dinner or the experience or I don't really love it. I just rather have like a date night on like a Friday, a normal Friday, and call it a day and just be like, I love you, I'm grateful for you. Like, I think every day should be that way. But I do think Valentine's Day, like the inconvenience of it being right after the holidays, especially in our 20s, like when we're trying to save money, make money, we're spending it every week. Like, it's just adds this pressure of like buying people gifts and the pressure to have like amazing sex. Like, it's just like too much.
Like everyone's comparing to each other. They're like, oh, what did you get? What did he do for you? And it's like, oh my gosh, that seems awful. Well, that one I cannot relate to.
I will say the thing that, so I've told the story, but growing up, my mom, every single holiday, any excuse for anything, she would do something just so little. Because there were 5 kids. My parents, we didn't really have much money or anything else. But at Valentine's Day, she would like put out those paper muffin cups, and it would just be at the table. I think I might have even told this story. And she'd put the little hearts in there, and it was just something. But carrying that through, what I do, because I'm very frugal, by the way. So it's like, I'm not buying any big things for anybody, but I buy those. You can get them at like even the dollar store, and they're a package of like, the tearaway Valentine's Day cards. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Or your generation doesn't?
I think we used to do that in school. Yeah, that was my favorite.
That's what
It was
I
my
have.
favorite when I was a kid. Until now that I'm older, I can't stand Valentine's Day. As a child, I loved it.
Valentine's
because you get the
Day.
candy and you all
can
pass around.
it to your crush in class.
See those little things. So I the box.
I love
I
that.
said he gave me a Valentine. He may have given the whole class a Valentine, but he gave me a Valentine.
And you read it, and the one that he gave you is very special. And then I'll do, sometimes I'll go around the neighborhood and deliver some of my eggs with just a little card. So, so
That's
I don't know.
An extra nice gift, especially right now.
Oh, with eggs.
Oh, I know. I want one.
Oh my God.
No, but it's true. Like, I think that is such a prime example of like how we can create this sense of love, companionship, community, regardless of being in a relationship or not being in a relationship. Like exactly what you just said.
So how do you think, girls, my girlfriends, my Stall Talk babes, how can we learn to allow more love inside of our life and therefore, I guess, feel worthy of love?
This is a really big one for me specifically recently. I've learned that it's impossible to have all of the answers all of the time and to be the strong friend or the strong lover or the strong sister. Yeah. And I think it's absolutely okay for us to lean on our family, lean on our friends. And that is, a form of love. I don't think love has to be just romantic relationships. Right. So for me, if anything, I've learned the power of not being okay and like tapping into my support system, being my family, my friends, and honestly, my community of awesome girlfriends. And that's been a form of companionship for me recently.
And maybe for all the Stall Talk babes, if you want to do Valentine's Day, just go get those little cards that we used to get when we were in elementary school. You can do something little.
Write yourself a love letter.
Write yourself a love letter, see? It's all about sharing and loving each other, right?
I agree.
Love you, girls.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Trending up, trending down.
What?
Hey guys, it's that time, trending up and trending down on Stall Talk. One of the things that I really wanted to talk about with you guys this week is Euphoria Season 3 production is back on. I'm so excited. I feel like it's been like a million years since I've seen the last season, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're working on. Let's talk about it in the comments, what you guys think. That's all from me for trending up and trending down.
So thanks for watching another episode of Stall Talk, all you Stall Talk babes.
Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on all our social media platforms. See you later.
See ya. Bye.